They'll tell you that overthinking means you're intelligent, that your problem is you just care too much. But the truth? Overthinking is not a sign of depth. It's a sign of hesitation. And hesitation is how you lose the game before it even begins. While you sit there analyzing every outcome, every angle, every possible failure, they're moving. They're making decisions, claiming opportunities, earning respect. And you're stuck in mental rehearsal with no performance. That's not intelligence. That's paralysis. Overthinking is not preparation. It's delay dressed up as wisdom. You think you're being cautious, but caution without movement is just cowardice. The people who win don't have the best thoughts. They have the fastest moves. They take action when others are still forming questions. That's why they rise, and you stay where you are. Machiavelli never respected the thinker who couldn't pull the trigger. He knew that power doesn't belong to the one who imagines perfectly. It belongs to the one who executes imperfectly. Because while perfectionists wait, strategists strike. Here's the cold truth. Overthinking doesn't keep you safe. It keeps you small. It doesn't protect your future. It postpones it. Every second you spend trapped in your own mind is a second your enemy gets ahead. And the worst part? You think your thoughts are private, but they're not. People can see your hesitation. They hear it in your voice. They feel it in your energy. They sense your uncertainty, and they respond accordingly. With dismissal, with disrespect, with domination. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why overthinking is not harmless, why it's not noble, why it's not deep. You'll see that it's not a quirk of personality, it's a strategic liability, and you'll learn how to kill it at the root. Because overthinking isn't just holding you back, it's making you broke, silent, and powerless. One thing Machiavelli hates the most is baseless overthinking without actions. In today's video, we look at those Machiavellian insights that will rescue you from the shadows of fruitless overthinking. Before we dive in, I say thank you to you all. Take a moment to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share this with others who need to see it. Machiavelli shares his timeless lessons for those with ears and ready to change their lives. If you're one of them, get yourself locked in and make sure to watch this video till the end. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Thought without action is powerless. Thinking is not power. Acting is. This is where most men go wrong. They believe their thoughts are valuable simply because they're complex. But Machiavelli would laugh at that, because a brilliant strategy locked in your mind is worth nothing compared to a flawed plan already in motion. You can't earn respect, wealth, or leverage by thinking better than others. You earn it by moving faster than them. History doesn't remember the thinkers. It remembers the movers, the rulers, the men who acted, even when they weren't sure. Overthinkers worship the illusion of certainty. They want to predict every move, every reaction, every outcome before doing anything. But the world isn't designed for perfection. It's built for dominance. And dominance doesn't wait for permission from your doubts. Understand this. Your enemy isn't another person. It's time. Time eats hesitation for breakfast. Every moment you wait, someone else is building what you only imagined. While you reread the email, they already sent it. While you second-guess the opportunity, they already took it. While you try to perfect your plan, they already own the result. And this is the root of powerlessness. You let your ideas rot because you're afraid to bruise them. You let your potential expire because you're scared of failure. You mistake analysis for strength. But strength is built in motion, not meditation. Machiavelli understood that power is not the privilege of the brilliant, it's the reward of the bold. The man who moves, even with uncertainty, earns more influence than the genius who hesitates. So here's the first rule. Kill the habit of waiting. Stop rehearsing life and start responding to it. If you must think, think fast. If you must plan, plan lean. But when the window opens, jump. Don't analyze the ledge. Don't debate the wind. Jump. Because the world does not crown the most thoughtful man. It crowns the man who moves first and deals with the consequences like a king. Lesson 2. Overthinking is the language of fear. Let's kill the lie right now. Overthinking is not intelligence. It's not depth. It's not wisdom. It's fear dressed in logic. It's hesitation, marketed as caution. It's self-sabotage masquerading as strategy. Machiavelli would have laughed at the modern obsession with overanalyzing every step. He'd call it what it is, submission by thought. A sophisticated way of putting chains on yourself while pretending you're planning an escape. Understand this. The mind is not your master, unless you let it be. Overthinking is how cowards intellectualize their fear. They turn instinct into paralysis. Every opportunity becomes a threat. Every decision becomes a battlefield. Every move becomes a debate between courage and delay always wins. Not because the situation is dangerous, but because the overthinker is addicted to the illusion of control. Machiavelli knew, the man who needs guarantees will never take territory. He'll pace around the map while bolder men redraw it. Why? Because fear hates forward motion. Fear wants loops. Fear wants you thinking, rethinking, re-questioning the same idea 100 different ways. Why? So you never act. And the tragic part? Overthinkers believe they're avoiding pain, but they're guaranteeing it. While they hesitate, the ruthless move. While they stall, opportunities vanish. While they double-check for threats, power shifts into someone else's hands. The battlefield doesn't wait for the cautious. It rewards the first to strike, the first to move, the first to decide. And that's the Machiavellian law. Action exposes fear. Delay empowers it. The world doesn't respect the overthinker. It uses him. Employers use his hesitation to underpay him. Partners use his self-doubt to manipulate him. Enemies use his overanalysis to outmaneuver him. You think you're being safe? You're being predictable. You're being soft. You're being controlled. Because here's the truth no one wants to say. Overthinking is just obedience at the psychological level. You're obeying fear. You're obeying insecurity. You're obeying a mind programmed to keep you small. Machiavelli wouldn't beg that man to move. He'd outthink him, outstrike him, and erase him from the board before he even chose a square. So here's the new law. Think once. Decide fast. Move cold. Not because it's reckless, but because it's the only way to escape the trap. The trap that tells you to be ready before acting. You never will be. And the enemy doesn't care. The only escape from fear is movement. If you made this far, you're part of the 1%. The show is just beginning. Ensure you subscribe and watch till the end. Lesson 3. The world rewards decisiveness, not accuracy. Mediocrity loves accuracy. Power worships decisiveness. If you study the most influential men in history, you'll notice something Machiavelli observed in every court, every war room, every rise to dominance. The decisive man almost always wins, even when he's wrong. Why? Because in power dynamics, correctness is only valuable after the moment has passed. The one who strikes first, even imperfectly, defines the tempo. The one who hesitates, even with a better answer, becomes a footnote. Machiavelli wrote that a wise man must take advantage of fortune as it comes, not as he wishes it to be. That's a ruthless truth. Speed is power. Hesitation is death. Because by the time the overthinker finally makes the right move, the decisive man has already reshaped the battlefield. Look at history. Julius Caesar crossed the Rubicon not because it was safe, but because it was necessary. Napoleon charged forward, always pressing advantage, even when his data was incomplete. Steve Jobs made gut calls that terrified analysts. In every case, boldness beat precision. Because power doesn't ask if you're correct, it asks if you're committed. Most overthinkers wait for perfect timing, perfect evidence, perfect permission. And in doing so, they hand the crown to the man who moved with certainty, even if he had less information. In negotiations, business, war, relationships, whoever moves first reframes the game. He takes up space in the mind of the opponent. He becomes the reference point. Everyone else becomes a reactionary. This is the Machiavellian shift. You must stop worshiping correctness and start training commitment. Because most decisions can be adjusted later. But indecision cannot be reversed. Once you've frozen, the moment is gone. The damage is permanent. Learn this. No one remembers the man who almost acted. No one fears the strategist who overprepared. The world bows to the man who moves first and corrects later. It's not recklessness, it's strategic aggression, it's calibrated confidence, and it's exactly how the world is won. So next time you're stuck between options, remember this. The one who moves fastest wins the most. Lesson 4. How overthinking destroys presence and charisma. The overthinker always walks into the room 2 seconds late. Mentally, emotionally, energetically. His words feel scripted. His laugh is timed, not natural. His posture is unsure. He moves like he's waiting for permission. And the world senses it. Because presence isn't what you say, it's what you radiate. It's the invisible force that makes people lean in when you speak, follow your lead without question, and remember you long after you've left. And here's the cold Machiavellian truth. Overthinking strangles that force. Every time you second-guess your words, your tone, your movements, you inject hesitation into your energy. And hesitation is the enemy of charisma. Because real presence, commanding presence, comes from conviction. It's not about being right, it's about being certain. Certain in voice, certain in gaze, certain in silence. The decisive man may not always be correct, but people will follow him because he looks like he knows where he's going. The overthinker? He's always in question. He scans the room for reactions. He adjusts mid-sentence. He adds qualifiers like maybe, I think, just, every word a tiny apology for having an opinion. People don't follow that. They don't respect it. They tolerate it at best and dominate it at worst. Machiavelli knew this. In the courts of power, he observed how those who hesitated, even for a moment, were outmaneuvered. The slow thinker became the puppet. The fast, bold speaker became the puppeteer. And here's the silent damage of overthinking. It infects your body language. Your tone becomes lighter, uncertain. Your eye contact breaks at the worst moment. You speak too fast, then too slow. You nod excessively. You hunch your shoulders. Your presence becomes the body language of submission. And people pick up on it instantly, even if they can't explain why. This is why charismatic people seem magnetic. They don't try to be liked. They don't process every move before they make it. They trust the moment. They trust their instincts. And that trust creates an energetic gravitational pull. Powerful people radiate calm decisiveness, even in chaos. Even when they're unsure, they project clarity. And that illusion alone is enough to tilt the room in their favor. Meanwhile, the overthinker is still rehearsing the first sentence in his head, and the moment is already gone. Here's the brutal irony. The overthinker often knows more. He's more thoughtful, more observant, more detailed, but none of it matters if he can't move. The mind becomes a cage, the tongue becomes a filter, and what could have been fire becomes a flicker. Machiavellian insight. Charisma is not charm. It's decisiveness wearing confidence as a mask. And if you want that mask to become your face, you must train yourself to speak before you're ready, to move before you're certain, to trust the part of your mind that knows, even if your ego hasn't caught up yet. Because the most charismatic men in history, they were not always the smartest, but they believed what they said while they were saying it. That belief, no matter how temporary, transmits power. This is your task now. Strip your language of apologies. Speak slowly, clearly, and without explanation. Hold your gaze a second longer. Stop waiting for approval before you project presence. Every moment you hesitate is a moment someone else takes the spotlight. And in the psychology of power, whoever owns the room doesn't need to ask for influence. He already has it. Overthinking is not humility. It's hesitation disguised as intellect. And no one follows the man who hesitates. They follow the man who walks into the room like he built it. Lesson 5. How to kill the overthinking instinct. Overthinking is not a personality trait. It's a habit, a trained reflex, a silent addiction to control outcomes in advance. And like any habit, it can be broken, not with more thinking, but with movement. You don't cure overanalysis by understanding it. You cure it by starving it, by removing the oxygen it feeds on: time, comfort, hesitation. The man who waits until he's certain will be overtaken by the man who moves while uncertain. Machiavelli knew this. In politics, war, court strategy, speed was domination, not always in action, but in decision, in commitment, in clarity. While others stall, the Machiavellian strikes, not because he knows he'll win, but because hesitation itself is defeat. If you want to destroy overthinking, you need to start training your instinct to act. Bookmark. Step 1. Kill time. The longer you think, the more fear grows. Overthinkers believe more time brings clarity, but it doesn't. It brings doubt. Every second you wait is another second your mind fills the silence with worst-case scenarios, self-criticism, and false dangers. Set brutal internal deadlines. If a decision takes under 30 seconds to reverse, make it now. If it takes under 5 minutes to execute, start immediately. Train your brain to act on first thought, first move. No hesitation, no second pass. Decide, move. It won't feel comfortable at first. That's the point. Overthinking is fueled by comfort. You have to starve it through tension. Step 2. Embrace risk exposure. Overthinking is a survival reflex. It's your mind trying to protect you from embarrassment, failure, rejection. The only way to kill that reflex is to voluntarily expose yourself to it. Start making decisions that carry small risks, but demand fast execution. Post your opinion online without rereading it 10 times. Speak in the meeting without rehearsing in your head. Send the message, launch the idea, walk into the room. Let the discomfort come. Then stand in it. Why? Because each time you move without permission, your brain learns deeper truth. Nothing happens. You weren't rejected. You weren't destroyed. You didn't fall apart. And even if you did take a hit, you survived. And that survival builds a new reflex. Action first, fear later. This is what Machiavelli trained into his thinking. He moved with risk constantly. He spoke with power in rooms that would cut down the weak. He didn't over-explain. He delivered his ideas like weapons. Clean, sharp, strategic. Bookmark UD. Step 3. Create execution rituals. Train yourself like a soldier. Build habits that force you into motion before your brain has time to argue. Wake up and immediately complete a 2-minute task. Have a go-to phrase when you catch yourself spiraling. Think once, then strike. Have a physical gesture to interrupt rumination. Clap, stand, snap your fingers. These rituals do one thing. They shift the mind from analysis to execution mode. Because you'll never think your way into boldness. You must act your way into it. Step 4. Reframe the stakes. Overthinkers freeze because they fear losing. But here's the Machiavellian twist. You lose far more by hesitating. Think of all the times your silence cost you respect. All the deals that died because you waited too long. All the moments of power you gave away because you needed more certainty. Machiavelli would call that self-sabotage. To him, indecision wasn't harmless. It was betrayal of your own influence. Reframe your mind. Action is survival. Delay is death. Every time you catch yourself overthinking, whisper this truth. The man who moves first controls the board. You don't need perfection. You need movement. Because clarity doesn't come before motion, it comes from motion. Bookmark. Final Machiavellian rule: think once, then strike. Not twice, not after approval. Once, with cold precision, immediate commitment, and complete psychological dominance. This is how power is seized. Now know this, you must become dangerous by moving first. There is a power few men ever touch. It's not the power of brute strength, not wealth, not popularity. It's the power of moving first, before anyone else has even decided what they believe. The world is filled with thinkers, analysts, philosophers, men who calculate every possibility and die without ever acting on one. And then there are the dangerous few, the ones who don't wait to be asked, approved, or chosen. They move. They create momentum while others create excuses. Machiavelli understood this. When others are still debating, the man who moves first defines the outcome. Not because he has all the answers, but because he's the one shaping the battlefield. It's not intelligence that wins. It's not virtue. It's not even the truth. It's presence, boldness, velocity. In politics, in power, in life, first to act becomes first to control. Because here's the brutal truth. Most people don't think for themselves. They wait to see who moves first and then they follow. You must become that man. You must become the signal that others react to. And it doesn't take perfection, it takes nerve. Let me show you what this looks like. In a business meeting, the one who speaks first, confidently, with direction, sets the frame. In relationships, the one who can walk away first, not out of emotion but strategy, redefines the power dynamic. In conflict, the one who makes the first tactical move doesn't need to be right. He needs to be certain. That's what creates psychological dominance. Overthinkers are still trying to calculate. The bold are already collecting leverage. This is why overthinking is fatal. Every moment you wait, someone else is moving. Someone less qualified, less intelligent, less prepared, but they'll win because they acted. And you'll have had the better idea, but not the better position. And power doesn't reward potential. It rewards possession. To become dangerous, you must weaponize movement. Move before you feel ready. Decide before the crowd reacts. Speak when silence is expected. Walk when they assume you'll stay. Strike while their minds are still searching for the perfect angle. The man who hesitates gets framed. The man who acts first becomes the frame. This is why Machiavelli never waited for ideal conditions. He created conditions by acting. He didn't wait for favor. He generated fear. He didn't wait for permission. He seized space. Because the most powerful man in the room is not the one who speaks last. It's the one who sets the tempo no one else can match. Let me say it clearly. You don't need to think more. You need to think once and move. Hesitation is a leash. Analysis is a cage. Certainty is an illusion. But movement is clarity. Movement is power. Movement is warfare. In a world of thinkers, the executor becomes king. So if you want to be feared, respected, remembered, stop overanalyzing. Move first. Move fast. Move without apology. And when they finally decide to act, make sure they're chasing you. 8. Final call to action, 100 to 150 words. If this message hit you, it's because you already know the truth. Overthinking isn't caution. It's a cage. You've watched opportunities pass. You've stayed silent when power was up for grabs. You've let slower, weaker men lead simply because they moved first. That ends now. This video wasn't just insight, it was ammunition. If you're done watching from the sidelines, if you're ready to become the kind of man who moves with force, strategy, and silence, then subscribe now, because what we teach here isn't motivation. It's psychological weaponry. And in a world ruled by hesitation, the one who strikes first doesn't just win, he becomes king.